Recording now. Recording in progress.
Okay.
We are here. This is Rabbi Shmuel Paulin. We're broadcasting from Rockaway, New Jersey into Gujarat, India. And we are here
Thank you.
with Nachman and Noami.
Yes.
Okay, it's great to have you guys here. Let's continue what we were speaking about last time, because last time we asked what is the difference between Judaism and Hinduism? So what do we say about that? What's the main difference?
There are Hindus are idol worshippers.
Yes.
They have no one God. They are having different, so many gods. Sun
Right.
god, moon god, and the elephant. They will always praise to stones.
They bow down to stones.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so this is exactly right. Judaism does not believe in idols. It does not believe in any other gods other than
only one God.
The one God. We believe there's only one source to all the power in this world. There are many powers in this world, but there's one source to all the powers, and that is the one God called the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
Yes.
It's also called the God of the Torah, the God of the Bible.
Yes.
This is the God that Judaism worships. And in India, many idols are worshipped. And who knows, who wants to guess what is the biggest idol in the world today? What is the biggest idol in the world today?
Money?
Yes, exactly right. Exactly right. It's money. Everyone in the world is spending all of their time and their energy worshiping money. They think that they need money to live, but that is a lie. You do not need money to live. You do not. All you need is, for instance, a fishing pole. If you have a fishing pole and a frying pan, God has created enough fish in the ocean for everyone in the world to have a meal 3 times a day, even 10 times a day. There's enough fish in the ocean for everybody to eat. Nobody needs money. The truth is, nobody needs money. You just need a fishing pole. Does that make sense?
Yes, right.
If you know how to fish, you have enough food for your whole life.
Yes.
You make a little shelter, you don't need any money. It's all a lie. It's one big lie.
Yes.
So in the old days, some people were very smart. They were idolaters, but they were smart. And they figured out that where our life comes from is not money, but they realized our life comes from the sun, because all plants and animals, they need sun. And we all need plants and animals to eat. So you could say we are made from the sun. We are made from sunlight. And that would not be false. That's not false. We are made from the sun. So
no.
Yes?
We are not made from sun.
We are made from the sun. We are, because the sun's energy gives the energy to the plants and the animals that we eat. So we come from the sun. We do come from the sun. Okay?
Okay.
So that's why the sun was the main god in the old days. The main god they worshiped was the sun, because all food comes from the sun, and we eat the food, so we come from the sun. But there came a man named Abraham, and he said, this sun might be very powerful, but at night, the moon is more powerful. So is the sun God or is the moon God? Which one is God? He said they can't both be God. He said there must be a power that's above both of them. If the sun is so powerful, we have to ask the question, where did all of its energy come from? Where did the power of the sun come from? This higher power, this greater power, this power that's greater than both the sun and the moon, we call this the one God. And it's not enough to say that there is only one God, but we have to understand how only God exists. We don't even exist. Only God exists. People, do you understand this? Do you understand what I'm saying? Not only God is the only God, but he is the only existence. He's the only thing that exists. Nothing else really exists except for God. Does that make sense?
Yes, right.
So let's talk about Abraham, because he was the first person to really realize this.
Yes.
And there was Adam was the first man. Then there were 20 generations. There was 10 generations from Adam to Noah, and then 10 generations from Noah to Abraham. And all of these generations mostly all worship idols. They were like India. They almost
Yes, right.
all everyone
Yes.
worshiped idols.
Yes, yes.
When Abraham was born, he was the only person in the world that didn't worship idols. The only
Yes.
person in the entire world, and that's millions of people at the time. So he was the only one. He reached the conclusion. He thought about the sun and the moon, and he realized it has to come from a higher power. So he realized that it's stupid to worship idols, because
Yes,
our
right.
life does not come from idols. Maybe it comes from the sun, and the sun comes from God, but our life definitely does not come from idols.
Yes.
So his father was named Terach, and Terach owned an idol store. He
Okay.
sold the idols for the entire city of Ur Kasdim. His name was Terach.
Okay.
One day, Abraham came home and he was thinking about how there's only one God. He has all the power and he's the only thing that exists. So he came home and he smashed all of his father's idols. So what he did was he left a hammer in the hands of the biggest idol. When his father came home, the father said, "What happened? What happened to all the idols?" So Abraham said, "Well, these little idols, they insulted the big idol. So the big idol, he smashed all of them." So his father says, "Are you crazy? Idols cannot feel. Idols cannot talk. Idols cannot smash. They're just stone." So Abraham said to his father, "So if they're just stone, so why do you worship them?" So that was the question that he left with him. And what wound up happening is his father told the king, who was Nimrod, what Abraham had done, and they threw him into a fire. It was a big miracle that happened when they threw him into the fire, that he didn't get burned. He was walking in the fire without getting burned, and even bushes and trees with fruits grew in this fire, and he was able to eat these delicious fruits, walking and eating and enjoying himself in the middle of the fire. It was the miracle that God made. So there's more to that story. But does everybody understand what's going on right now? Does everybody understand?
Yes.
Okay, you understand the story?
Yes, I understand.
Okay. Do you have any questions?
No, no, brother, no questions.
No question. Okay. So we have to always ask, what is giving us our life? What is making us alive? Because only that which is making us alive has the power to bless our life. And we all want blessings. So if we want blessings, we have to ask from the right source, the source of our life. Only the one who gave you your life can bless your life. Not idols, it's not the sun, it's not money. It's only the one God behind everything. And this one God unites everything. Everything becomes united when you find him. If you are a seeker, you seek the truth, your first question would be, has anyone ever seen this God? Has anyone ever known this God? Has anyone ever spoken to this God, this one God? If this one God is the real God, has anyone ever met him? So the answer is that yes, this God has revealed himself. He has spoken to many people. The first person he spoke to was Adam, the first man. He gave him the commandment not to eat from a certain fruit. And he spoke to Noah, and he spoke to Abraham, and he spoke to Isaac, and he spoke to Jacob. And from Jacob came the whole Jewish people. That's where the Jewish people started. So when the Jewish people started, they were enslaved. They became slaves to the Egyptian Pharaoh. Then God took them out of slavery. He led them through the desert, and he did something that he never did again. He did something that he never did again. He revealed himself, he showed himself to an entire nation. He spoke to an entire nation all at the same time. Everyone saw it. The entire Jewish nation saw it. That's why the Jewish people are called the witness nation. We are the light unto the nations because we witnessed the one God talking to us, revealing himself. So the Jews are here to give over this testimony that this God exists. God revealed himself, he showed himself to the Jewish people so that the Jewish people could tell the world, to tell you, tell India, tell Pakistan, tell England, tell America, to tell everybody that this happened. And it happened on a mountain called Sinai. And this was in the year 1313 BCE. So we know exactly when this happened, and we know who it happened to. The Jews were just taken out of slavery. God literally spoke, and it boomed. The voice boomed throughout all of creation. And the Jews at that time were 3 million people. They were 600,000 people between the ages of 20 and 60, men. But if you count the men, women, and children, it's about 3.1 million people that God revealed himself to. So he made himself known. He purposely made himself known to an entire nation so that everybody would know the truth if they wanted to find it. The truth is there, but you have to want to find it. So this idea that God spoke to 3 million people, the Jewish people, is a fact of history. It's history. Nobody can argue with it. This is a fact of history because history is created by witnesses. And never have there been so many witnesses to seeing the same thing at the same time. No fact in history is more well established than this fact that God spoke to the Jewish people at Mount Sinai. That is the strongest piece of history that we have. And we have this testimony in our families. Every single Jewish person today has the testimony in his family that God revealed himself to us at Mount Sinai. You could ask any Jewish person what their grandfather believed, what their great-grandfather believed. They will all tell you that they believed the revelation at Mount Sinai. Every single Jewish family has this fact. It's a fact, like any fact. Just like the sky is blue, God revealed himself at Mount Sinai. They're both based on testimony. The sky is blue is based on testimony. It's because we see it. God revealed himself on Mount Sinai. That's based on testimony. Even more testimony. Well, maybe not more, but it's based on a large, very large amount of testimony. So, what could people say to argue with that? They could say that these 3 million people didn't really see what they thought they saw. So here's the question that I want to ask you. Let's say I tried to convince you that there is an elephant god, like you mentioned, like the elephant god. Now,
Yes.
could I convince you of that? Do you think I could convince you of that? Could I convince you there's an elephant god? Do you think I could convince you of that?
Um,
Would he convince you? Ask him.
What? No. What, brother? Hello.
Yeah.
Can you please repeat?
If I tried to convince you that there is an elephant god, that the god is an elephant, would I be able to convince you that God is an elephant?
No.
No, I wouldn't be able to convince you. The truth
This
is,
is not true.
It's not true. It's not true. So, but at least I could try. I could at least try. I could try to convince you that God is an elephant. I could try. Maybe I'll
Okay.
convince a couple people. Maybe one or
Yes.
two people.
Yes,
I could
sir.
try. But what if I tried to convince you that you saw an elephant god? Could I convince you that you saw an elephant god?
No.
No, that I cannot do. I could try to maybe convince you that there is an elephant god, but I cannot say that you saw an elephant god if you didn't see it. Nobody can convince you that you saw something that you didn't actually see. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So nobody can tell you that you saw an elephant god. And in the same way, for the same reason, nobody can tell the Jewish people that they saw one God, the true God, if they didn't see it. You cannot convince people that they saw something that they didn't actually see. You can't do it. It's impossible.
Yes.
That's how we know that the revelation at Mount Sinai is true, because nobody can convince 3 million people that they saw one God with no body, no shape, no form. Nobody can convince an entire nation that they saw this if they didn't actually see it. But 3 million people believe they saw this one God. And when this God revealed himself, and we know he revealed himself because this is part of history, what did God want? What did God want to say? So what God wanted to say when he first met with the Jewish people is that he wants there to be code. And one of the codes is called the 10 Commandments. But the 10 Commandments are there for the Jews. He made another code called Noah's Code, the Code of Noah. These are the laws that were already given to Noah after the flood. You're familiar with Noah's flood? You're familiar with that? Noah's flood?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Okay, because we just read about it. We just read about it in the Torah reading.
Yes.
And the world at that time was totally evil, not just worshiping idols, but also committing murder and theft and rape and immorality.
Yes.
So the world was totally evil. They were totally,
Yes,
totally evil. They were killing each other, stealing from each other, raping each other, doing every sin possible. So God said, these people have become too unmanageable. They're not manageable. So I have to wipe them out with a flood. So everyone was evil. Then God brought on a flood for 40 days, and it purified the whole world, purified them and wiped out all the people with a flood. When Noah came out of the ark, because he was in a boat, he was in an ark, they started to rebuild society. And God said, we need to make sure that this never happens again. We need to make sure that people never become so evil that I have to destroy the entire world again. So with Noah, God made a treaty. He made a treaty, like a peace treaty. He said, here are 7 laws. This is Noah's code. And he said, if you follow these 7 laws, God will never wipe out the world again. The world will never have to be destroyed again. So these laws are very special. The more that we keep these 7 laws, the more God is happy with us. The more God wants to give us a good life and blessings. The more we abandon these 7 laws, the more God wants to destroy the world again. So the whole world depends on these 7 laws. They're like the foundation of a building. If the foundation of a building is weak, the whole building is weak. It can come down. The building can come down. But if the foundation is strong, society lasts. Society is stable. Society is kind. Society is sane and normal. Society has clarity. Society has truth. Society has goodness. Society has godliness. So there are these 7 laws. They're the foundation of society. We keep them, God treats us good. That's the promise. He promises us a good life. We don't keep them, he promises us that we'll be closer to the generation of the flood, and God will want to destroy us. So there are 7 laws, and the first law is not to worship idols. To start any code, you first have to understand who's in charge. Can you have a code if you don't know who is in charge? Is it possible to have a code if you don't know who is in charge? What do you think?
No.
No, it's not possible. To have a code, you need to know who's in charge. So if people are worshiping idols, there can be no Noahide code. There's no Noahide code if people are worshiping idols, because then we don't know who is in charge. We have to know who is in charge. So the first law is not to worship idols, because you have to know that God is the one in charge and that everything is one with him. So the first law of the 7 Noahide laws, the Noah's laws, the code, is not to worship idols, to know that only God exists, and that's the person that we have to listen to for all the other laws. The second Noahide law is to respect God. We cannot use his name for just any reason. I'm not allowed to use God's name when I write a letter, because the letter might be thrown in the trash. So you have to respect God. If you don't have respect for God, then the code doesn't work anyway. There can be no code if there's no one in charge, and there can be no code if you don't respect the one in charge. So if you don't respect God and you don't keep him in your mind, that's when the evil can take hold. Every evil can happen because of not respecting God. If you respect God, you'll only do good. Okay, so the first law, do not worship idols. The second law, do not curse God.
Respect God.
Right. Do not curse God. You have to respect God, not curse. So the third law is about animals. We do not worship animals. But because animals were created by God, they're godly creatures. They need to be also respected. So we cannot take a piece of an animal from a live animal. This is, making the animal go through suffering. We're not allowed to make other people suffer. Even animals cannot. We have to respect the animals. Like, another law that you will learn is that if you have a yoke and you're pulling a plow or you're pulling a carriage, you cannot have different animals that go different speeds. Or even if one animal, let's say, chews its cud, so it's like always chewing, like one of the animals looks like it's always chewing, you cannot have a chewing animal with a non-chewing animal because they get jealous of each other. The animals get jealous. Say, why this animal's chewing all the time, I'm not chewing all the time, he must have more food than I have. So the animals get jealous. So you cannot put those animals together in a yoke. You cannot put different types of animals together in a yoke because it's suffering, and you cannot make anyone suffer, including animals. So the first law is idols, then do not curse God, then you cannot take a limb. People in the old days, and still today, they will take a leg off of the animal while it's still alive and eat it. That is directly against the Noahide code. Directly against the code. To take off a leg or any limb and eat it goes directly against the code. The next of the Noahide laws is sexual immorality, because God gave us animal drives. We have thoughts of sexual immorality, and these thoughts come to us, some more, some less, but almost every day, almost everybody has thoughts of sexual immorality. And this is not the problem. That's not the problem, because God gave us those thoughts. He gives us those thoughts. Problem is if you agree to those thoughts and you indulge in those thoughts. These thoughts are there for a reason. And they're there. The reason is for them to actually be rejected. God wants to give you these thoughts so that you will reject them. He's not giving you, not every idea that goes into your head is a good idea. We have to understand that, right? I mean, do you understand that? Is it true that not every idea that goes into your head is a good idea, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So you have to think, is this a good idea or a bad idea? Is this idea coming from God or it's coming from the evil side? So these thoughts can come to you all day, every day. It doesn't matter. You just keep ignoring them. You just keep rejecting them. If you listen to these thoughts, it will lead to the destruction of the family, destruction of divorce, adultery, destruction of the family. You have to say no to these thoughts. Those thoughts are given to you for you to say no to them. So some thoughts we have are given to us, so we will listen to them, and some thoughts are given to us so that we will reject them, so we will not listen to them. So these thoughts of sexual immorality, thinking about the wrong type of person, thinking about the wrong type of man, the wrong type of woman, these thoughts are supposed to be rejected. If you reject these thoughts over and over and over again, they will eventually stop bothering you. Eventually, the bad thoughts will stop. And many of us have reached a level where we don't have these thoughts anymore. But in the beginning, you have to reject. And then by rejecting these thoughts, you'll have good, strong, stable children who all worship God and make you very proud. Now, the truth is, sexual desire is not a bad thing. Not really a bad thing in its core. We have to use those drives within a marriage. It should be used within a marriage, just like a wire holds electricity. If the energy is not channeled in the wire, it's going to go in all directions and you'll never be able to turn on a light in your home. So sexual energy needs to be channeled into a marriage and into one person, that is your husband or your wife, and that will light up your home. Just like it's like electricity. If the energy of electricity goes in all directions, you can't do anything. You can't light up anything. But if the energy is channeled in a wire and a conductor, then it can light up your home. So the sexual energy is not bad. It's neutral. You have to use it for good. So you don't just get rid of your sexual energy. You use it for the right purpose. And sexual energy can be the best thing in the world. It's actually the number one commandment. Who knows what the first commandment to man was? What was the very first commandment man was ever given? Does anybody know?
To not, according to the Bible, to not to for commandment given by Abraham or given to Abraham or Adam.
In the beginning, to Adam, the very first commandment, the very first commandment.
It's not to eat the fruit. Something like that.
Before that,
For that, to worship.
to have children,
Yeah. Multiply.
be fruitful and multiply.
Okay.
The first commandment, that was the very first commandment that we were given. So
Yeah.
that means that sexual energy can be the best thing in the world. The best thing, the number one commandment is to have children. So God wants a lot of children. He wants there to be many more people. See, a lot of people, they're evil people will tell you there's too many people. Have you ever heard this from people before? There's too many people. There's overpopulation.
Yeah.
And has anyone ever heard this before? That there's overpopulation?
Where to be precise?
Some people say there's overpopulation. There's too many people.
No.
You ever heard someone say that?
No.
You never heard someone say, oh, there's too many damn people in India. There's too many people.
Yeah.
People say that, right?
Yeah.
So they say it's bad. They say it's bad that there's too many people.
Yeah.
It's not. That's a lie. That's a lie. There's not too many people. There's not enough people. God wants more people. God wants a lot of people. And there's much more fish in the sea for everyone. And if you take the entire world population and you put them in a little dot in the middle of Texas, which is a state in America, you'd be able to fit the entire world population in that one spot. So there is no overpopulation. There's enough animals and enough fish for many, many times more people than we have now. And it's not that in India has too many people. India needs more people. God always wants more people, and he will give enough food for everybody. The only problem is the next law, stealing. God will give the food for everyone. He has enough fish for everyone. There's enough cows for everyone. But if you steal, everything's going to be destroyed. So that's why the next Noahide law is the law against stealing, the law against theft. If so you steal from someone, he's going to steal from you.
Yeah.
If you steal from him, he'll steal from you. Soon,
Yeah.
nobody can trust anybody. And if nobody can trust anybody, you can't do business.
Yeah.
How can you do business if there's no trust? The whole economy runs on trust.
Yes. Yes.
If there's no trust, there's no economy. If I can't buy something and know that it's going to do what you say it's going to do, then business cannot function. It cannot run. Do you understand? So there has to be trust for an economy to work. There has to be trust. And the only way to have trust is that if we know that God is in charge of every last penny. If we believe in God and we follow his Noahide code that we cannot steal even a penny, we don't even walk on someone else's yard because we might crush one of their blades of grass. We don't even walk on their yard because that could be stealing in a small way. It's a small kind of stealing. So you're crunching his grass, you're stealing a little bit, and when you start stealing a little bit, they start stealing a little bit from you, and then you start stealing from the next guy, and the next guy, and then the trust is gone. Once the trust is gone, the economy collapses. So the Noahide code punishes for even stealing a penny because it breaks down the order of society. The next Noahide law, the next of the Noahide laws is murder. It is obvious. Everyone knows that murder is wrong. But there are certain cases where it's not so clear. Let's say someone is going to kill someone else. Well, can I kill him first? Can I kill the first guy to stop him from killing the second guy? So then it's not so clear. So that's why you need the code. You need the Noah's code because the Noah's code is run by rabbis that will explain all the details of the code. So it's not enough to just say, oh yeah, we all know that murder is wrong. It's not so clear that murder is always wrong. It's not so clear. I mean, the Nazis convinced an entire nation that murder was right. So if you just rely on the fact that we know murder is wrong and everybody should know murder is wrong, that's not good enough. Because with some very powerful media tactics and persuasion tactics, we can convince people that murder is right. So that's why you need the Noahide code. You need Noah's code because only through Noah's code do we know when murder is wrong and when murder is right. Because sometimes it's right. If you're going to kill someone to save someone else, you should kill that person. So we have to be careful. We have to know what kind of murder is good and what kind of murder is bad. And for that, you need the code and you need the rabbis who make the code and explain the code, and that is the sixth of the Noahide code is murder. We need to not do murder. We cannot murder, but we have to know what is murder and when is murder and what murder counts and what murder doesn't count. And is a baby a life? Is murdering a new inborn baby, a fetus, is that a life? There's a lot of questions. There's a lot of questions about murder. It's not so clear if that's murder. So you have to ask the rabbis who explain the Noah's code. So the last one of the code is to make courts and police officers, because no law, we said no law makes any difference if you don't know who is in charge, but also no law makes any difference if there is no enforcement. You have to enforce the laws. So part of the code is that there is an enforcement wing. No law can be implemented if there's not a judge to decide the case, and police that make sure the law is carried out. And in the Noahide code and in the Jewish code also, it says there has to be courts all over the place. Every neighborhood should have a court. Because if you have a case that needs to be decided, someone owes you money, it needs to be decided now, and it's decided, pushed off for 2 months, 3 months. In America, you could wait a year, 2 years before you get your justice. Justice delayed is justice denied. If your justice is delayed, if they push it off for a month, 2 months, a year, you're not getting justice. Because let's think about it. Like, if you owe me money and I don't get it back right away, you're stealing. That's violating the code. You're stealing, because if I had the money, I could invest it. I could have invested it in a business. So every day that you owe me that money and I don't get it, I could have invested it. So in Judaism and in the Noah's code, there can be no delay. No, because delay is injustice. And the punishments for violating these laws are very serious. If you're in a room and you try to walk through the wall, what's going to happen? What's going to happen if you try to walk through a wall? What's going to happen?
Pardon? Can you repeat, please?
If you try to walk through a wall, what's going to happen?
We'll get bumped in the wall.
You get bumped. It hurts. It hurts, right? So if you try to walk through the Noahide laws, it's gonna hurt. It's like walking into a wall. The Noahide laws are like the walls in society. You can have a wonderful life. You'll have a beautiful life. But if you hit up against one of the walls, it's gonna hurt. If we tear the walls down, the whole building comes down. So you have to have walls, and you have to know that when you hit into a wall, it's gonna hurt. And that's what keeps the whole building staying up. So we should all know these 7 laws by heart. We should put them in our homes. We should write them down. We should remember them. We should live by them. We must live by them. Because God made these laws for our lives to have structure, for our lives to be able to stay up, for the building to stay up. The only way is to have walls and a foundation. These laws are the foundation. And if enough people, if we start right now, and we live these 7 laws, and we tell our friends about the 7 laws, and they tell their friends about the 7 laws, and you can send them this video that we're making right now, and God will help that the word will spread, because this is the truth. This is the truth everybody wants. Everybody wants the truth. And this is the actual truth. These 7 laws will bring the world into the era of the Messiah. And the entire world will become good. It will become like a paradise. When these laws travel through India and then on to Africa and then on to England and America, when these laws become the law in each country, the entire world will become good because you'll have the proper structure. There's so much violence now. There is a crime committed every 20 seconds. Every 20 seconds. If we had this code in place, there would never be any crimes committed. There would be no more hunger because nobody would be stealing. There would be no more jealousy. There would be no more war. There would be no more theft. There would be no more lies. No more arrogance. Everything will be like a paradise. But a paradise is a building that needs a foundation and walls. If everybody respects the walls, we have a beautiful society. If we pretend that the walls don't exist, boom, it's going to hurt. And God will eventually destroy all the people who don't follow these laws. So these laws are like Noah's Ark, because God will destroy everyone who doesn't keep these laws. If you're in these laws, you keep these laws, you love these laws, you teach these laws, you share these laws with your friends, with your family, it's like you're in Noah's Ark, because God is going to bring another flood. And this time, it's the 7 Noahide laws that will save humanity. We know God can do this. We saw with COVID that God is able to, in a day, he can destroy the lives of millions of people. In one day. It doesn't even take 40 days. In Noah's time, it took 40 days. But we see now from COVID that God can do it in one day. Everybody's life turned upside down in one day. That's what God can do and what he will do for people who do not follow these laws. Because he wants there to be the foundation of a building which will create a paradise. Thanks to my father, what I call my father, my mentor, Lubavitcher Rebbe, he made huge steps in implementing these laws in America. And President Ronald Reagan, thanks to my mentor, President Ronald Reagan was one of the greatest presidents America ever had. He accepted these laws, and he said that the entire country of America exists because of these laws. He thanked my mentor, Lubavitcher Rebbe, and said that these laws are the bedrock, the foundation of the country. And he wants everybody to follow them. So they're already accepted in America. We're just waiting for it to be implemented in the legal systems so that we'll have just and righteous judges, just and righteous police officers. We don't want police officers that put their knee on somebody's neck and suffocate them to death. That is not righteous police officers. We need righteous judges, righteous police officers who follow this code and know that it's not true just because it makes sense, but know that it's true because it came from God. Because if it's only true because it makes sense, tomorrow it might not make sense. If it's only true because it makes good sense, tomorrow I might think differently. Tomorrow it might not make sense. The only way these laws work is if they come from God. So this is what we're going to do. Does anybody have any questions?
No, not yet. If you have something, we'll just write an email to you or text message.
Okay. So I'm going to enter you into, I'm going to enter you people in India right now into the covenant, okay? I'm going to enter you into the covenant of the Noahide laws. Is that okay?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, so how many people are here? Well, just one or two or three?
Three to four.
Three? Okay,
We
so
are
who
three
wants to
and
go first? Who wants to go first?
me.
Okay.
We all three will go first.
Okay. What is your name?
My name is Nachman,
Nachman, the son of,
the son of
what's your
Nagarajan
father's name?
Kanan.
What's your father's name?
Nagarajan Kanan.
Nagajaran?
Nagarajan Kanan.
Najagaran. Okay, Nachman.
Yeah.
Do you promise not to worship idols?
I promise not to worship idols.
Okay. Do you promise not to curse God?
I promise I will not curse God.
Do you promise not to take a limb off of a live animal?
I promise that I will not take a limb of a live animal.
Do you promise not to engage in sexual immorality?
I promise that I will not engage in any sexual immorality.
Do you promise not to steal?
I promise I will not steal.
Do you promise not to murder?
I promise I will not murder anyone.
Do you promise to help establish courts that are just?
I promise to establish courts that are just.
Okay. God bless you. God keep
And
you. God keep you safe.
yeah.
Be
So
well.
it's just the end of the class.
And I just want you to know one more thing. One more thing. Do you accept these laws as the will of God Almighty?
Yes, I accept this laws as the will of the Almighty, and I respect these laws. And I
Okay.
heartfully accept it.
Okay. So you have accepted the Noahide code, and you have now earned yourself a portion in the next world in paradise.
Thank you very much.
Okay, who's next?
Thanks for,
The
thanks for
next
the
person.
Take me. Just a
Hello. Yes, brother.
Yes. Hi.
Hi.
You don't have to repeat after me. You can just say yes, okay? You can just say yes.
Okay, brother. Okay, brother.
Okay. Do you agree not to worship idols?
Yes.
Do you agree not to curse God?
Yes.
Do you agree not to take a limb off of a live animal?
Yes.
Do you agree not to commit sexual immorality?
Yes, I agree.
Do you agree not to steal?
Yes, I agree.
Do you agree not to murder?
Yes, I agree.
Do you agree to help establish courts of justice?
Yes, I agree.
Okay, you are now hereby part of the Noahide covenant, and you have earned yourself a portion in the world to come. Okay,
Yes,
who's next?
yes.
One more person. Let's go.
Yes. Yes, she is Sarah. She will repeat let's repeat one.
Yes.
Hi,
Hello.
Sarah. Hi, Sarah.
Hi. How are you?
Good. Thank God. I'm having a great time.
Okay, fine.
Okay, so you don't have to repeat after me. You could just say yes, okay?
Okay, sure.
Do you agree not to worship idols?
Yes.
Yes, I agree.
Yes, I agree.
Do you agree not to curse God?
Yes, I agree.
Do you agree not to take a limb off of a live animal?
Yes, I agree.
Do you agree to not commit sexual immorality?
Yes, I agree.
Do you agree not to steal?
Yes, I agree.
Do you agree not to murder?
Yes, I agree.
Do you agree to help establish courts of justice?
Yes, I agree.
Congratulations. You are under the Noahide covenant. You are under the Noahide
Thank you.
code, and you have earned yourself a portion in the world to come. Okay,
Yes.
that's the class
Yes.
for today.
Yeah. Thank you very
And
much for the class.
any
Thank you
questions?
very much.
Thank
Any
you very
que-
much. Love you, brother.
Okay, love you too.
Thank you. Thank you very much for
Okay,
your time.
bye-bye.